The golden rule on confined space entry applies to any space large enough for someone to get into, where there's a risk of death or serious injury from hazardous substances or dangerous conditions.
I'll go down first and then you're going to come down in a minute. I'll look behind you. Okay.
Or where someone can become trapped. In the USA, at the Texas City refinery, contractors were working on one of the DDU reactors. They were carrying out the job of dumping and reloading catalyst inside the reactor. The vessel had been filled with nitrogen gas to avoid the risk of fire. Pure nitrogen, if breathed in, is immediately fatal, so the team was using breathing apparatus. They'd installed a scaffold barricade over the top deck, which also defined the hazard zone. Anyone who entered this zone was required to wear breathing apparatus and a safety harness with a lifeline attached. We could only show standard breathing apparatus in our reconstruction, but a full life support system must be worn when working in inert atmospheres. The barricade also had a warning sign about the dangers. One of the contractors, Ed Porter, was working inside the vessel, while his colleagues were on top by the manway. Kevin Cornett was the hull watch or standby man. Carl Williams was standing just outside the barricade. Inside the vessel, Ed was trying to lift up the access ladder so he could remove an internal access manway. But the ladder was too big for him to lift on his own. He called out to Kevin to pull the ladder up a few inches so he could open the manway. Kevin couldn't lift it either, so Carl came over to help. Entering the barricaded area without breathing apparatus. He collapsed, falling into the vessel, landing on the first reactor deck 7 feet below. He'd been overcome by the nitrogen escaping from the manway. Clearly, Carl shouldn't have entered the hazard zone without breathing apparatus and a lifeline clipped to his safety harness. He died in the vessel from asphyxiation. The golden rule on confined space entry says you mustn't go into a confined space unless all other options have been ruled out. A permit has been issued authorized by a responsible person. The permit is communicated to everyone who could be affected and has been posted as required. All those involved in the job are competent to do the work. All sources of energy affecting the space have been isolated. Air quality or gas concentration is tested, verified, and repeated as often as defined by the risk assessment. A standby person is stationed by the entrance point, and all unauthorized entry is prevented.
Thumbs up. Come up.
Working in an inert atmosphere requires specialist teams. They must follow even more rigid procedures inside the vessel, and also in the vicinity of it, where the atmosphere may still be unsafe. But the golden rule doesn't just apply if there may be an inert or poor quality atmosphere. Small spaces where workers can be trapped or find it difficult to escape quickly are also included. Do you control entry into all types of confined spaces? At Texas City, they've improved the control of their contractors and the assessment and communication of risks. Everyone should understand about the dangers of nitrogen and know why they must follow the rules. But Texas City may not need to use nitrogen in future to carry out this task, because they've devised other ways of doing the work without using this deadly gas. Would you be tempted to take a chance to get the job done? If it's unsafe, stop work.